I think I found where we need to start out. Um, Yesterday we started going over the code they give us from chapter 2, and it looks like the third file picks up right here. Constant HTTP requires, I think it says this HTTP is coming from Connect. Yeah, the Connect module delivers a set of wrappers around the Node.js low-level APIs. So those first two files we were looking at, 2.1 and 2.2, are the reason there's two files in there is because they're not using Connect. So this requiring HTTP should be where it's loading Connect at. Or maybe not. Let's see. I think if we keep reading down. I think that's one of the later examples as we changed the HTTP to Connect. But you call it in the same way you would call it HTTP. Yeah. Now instead of requiring Connect, instead of requiring HTTP, you're now going to replace that with a require Connect. That's the difference. Allowing you to reduce it into one file. But you gotta install it. Alright, so let's read through this. Not just read it to read it out loud, but read it for comprehension. Which I think I am starting to get. You may not get it yet, but the closer I get to being able to explain it. These videos are mainly a diary for me. If they help you, that's great. If not, sorry YouTube, I'm gonna waste about 10 gigabytes a day. 8 gigabytes a day. I think that's the only difference. Let's go ahead and look at the code files they gave us. Okay, we're going to go over to, this is a Windows 7 machine running on top of all of this that you see out here is a Windows 10. And I've got another monitor. Let's see. Empty recycle bin. Yeah. Okay. So there's a whole other monitor off to my left. Anything that would really give away my security, I'm trying to keep it over there. So you don't see everything I've got open. But the point being, this whole monitor right now is pretty much my personal Windows 10 machine that I work from. I guess they're both personal. This is all just home office. But the Windows 10 machine, and then inside the Windows 10, we're making a call. We're using this program called TeamViewer. This is what I'm trying to keep off screen to the left. It's got passwords and stuff in there. It does have a little function to reset them randomly and quickly and often, but there's no reason to put that on air. This is what it's connected to. This is the Windows 7, which is 10-15 feet away. So, alright. So what we got through yesterday is the two ones, the server, and the hello. That's just showing how the server can call something external. Same thing here. We renamed the file. You can go back and watch old videos if you need to. So this is about where we're at now. Now we're just doing one server. Let's open that up in brackets. Looks like we've already got it open. It's the 2.3. It's on this side. So we're requiring HTTP. inside that gives us, there's a lot of stuff in that file. One of the things in that file we can use is create server, but we're passing variables to that function. A request and a response. Use the response object to write the content type response header. Response. Okay, the write head 200. Content type. Okay, so this is an object that's feeding back to us. Use the response object to write a response body and end the request. These are just comments. So here's the variable coming back. End hello world. Listen 3000. Alright. So we ran that yesterday. We haven't ran 4 yet. Let's see what it does differently. Yep. Just what I was predicting. They're going from the HTTP require. They're changing that now to a connect require. Okay. Now they're adding one for the app. This one don't have an app yet. So they're adding a new constant of app. And that app's making a call to the connect. Use the connect application instance to listen to the 3000 port. So this, getting this, and then extending it with this. Okay, that looks pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and look at 5 and see what it's going to do for us. Let's close this one, it's the oldest. Let's close 3. We'll open 5. Chapter 2. Number 5, yeah, we're breezing through here now. What I really want to get to is where it starts forking the routing. That's one thing I picked up in PHP. It's all about the routing. It's all about your URL bar. That's your whole program call right there. Sometimes it's camouflaged, but not really. Still requiring connect. Using app to call an instance of that connection. Okay, constant hello world equals function hello world. Define a middleware function. Okay, the difference here, they're adding a new, they're feeding a new variable. Request, response, next. So this is where they're getting the ability to chain things, which allows you to make forks in your URL. Not really, that's parameters, but it's how to interpret those parameters. Response set header, text plain. Use the response object to write response body and end the request. Response end hello world. Wait a minute. Is that my route? Is that what we've been looking for? Is it giving me multiple responses yet? Okay, let's go back to the text and see what's happening here. Go to the book, Joffrey. Alright, let's read up to what we got so far. This is where it's requiring the HTTP. And that was one I messed up yesterday. I put an S in there, HTTPS. We're not doing that yet. We will, I think. I can't imagine they'd have this cutting edge and not get you to the secure, but that's like later chapters. Not even be in this book. There's one that eventually gets to e-commerce, and I know they'll have security in there. They're not going to show you how to set up a e-commerce production without getting to the security features. It may be in the next book, actually. Oh well. We'll get there when we get there. It's not HTTP today. I mean, it's not HTTPS, it's HTTP. It's probably just called in a different module. It probably wouldn't even be that big of a deal. Which is kind of why I wanted to glance at it. We could probably start using it early. Anyways, Julie, what slows us down? Getting the cart before the horse. Let's go. So we require an HTTP. To start your web server, use your command line tool and navigate to your working folder. Then run the command line tool and run the server file as follows. Node server. You're browsing, you'll see hello world. Okay, we were in that one. Episode 2. So how does this work? In this example, the module is used to create a small web server listening to the port. You begin by requiring the module and then use the weather. Then use the create server method to return a new server object. The listen method is then used to listen to the 3000 port. Notice the callback function that is passed as an argument to the create server method. You better notice something. It's passed to the create server. Notice the callback function that is passed as an argument to the create server method. Okay. Told us to notice it. Let's go look at what that's telling us to notice. It must be important. I'm looking on the wrong screen. It's over on the other machine. It's on this screen. Alright. I think I already closed that file. See if it's still referring to it in one of these though. Create server method. Yeah, we're still creating server methods. Let's get to that line. There's the app listen. Or probably skipped over it already. Oh, it's gonna be in the HTTP in it. Yep, I closed that. Alright, now I got them all open. It's this one. Create server, okay. So we're, yeah, that's what I was saying a while ago before I read it. After I read it, before I read it. I read it before I read it. After I read it. So we're just passing in the, if you wanted to go through and rewrite everything, you could change this to whatever. You could change this to where's my key, request. The problem with doing that, I think this is what they mean when they say clean code. Try and keep everybody working with the same general thing. But if you wanted to go through everywhere that's referred to, which it's not, passing it in, they're not even referring to it. They're referring to the other one only right now. Okay, so the request, this is response. If you wanted to change your response to, just spell it backwards. S-E-R. The problem is you'd have to do that everywhere. Quit doing that. And you could do a find and replace. I don't know if I'm gonna waste time on running this to prove a point or not. I probably will since I've already done it all. But now I'm curious if it'll work. You just have to replace it everywhere that is called. Okay, 2, 3. It's fine. We already. I thought we was done with this one anyways. Wonder if we can pass it from. I don't think we can. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and save that. We'll go back to get its path. Copy. We're gonna open the command prompt again. Change directory space. Paste our path. We're in there now, and says it still got old commands? Nope, just today's, because we just opened the command prompt. Okay, so to call that is node server JS. It's cranking. See, it still calls it because I changed wherever it's referencing that at. So cool, we passed the experiment. And most of you know that. If you're watching this video, you know you can call your variables whatever you want. But anyways, back to the text. So how does this work? First, it will call the write head method of the response object. It is used to set the response headers. I'm still confused on headers. I know they're not talking about H1 and H3 tags. So there's, when you use one word to refer to more than one thing, I'm not sure exactly what the header, and I guess it is kind of the same thing. Apparently it comes in first, but there's things in the header that aren't in the body. And I guess I just need to read up on that some more. This method is used to set the response HTTP headers. So these are not H1 tags, these are response HTTP headers. In this example, it will set the content type header value to text plain. For instance, when responding with HTML, you just need to replace text plain with HTML plain. For instance, when responding with HTML, you just need to replace text plain HTML plain. Alright, that might be worth looking at a little bit later. Then it will call the end method of the response object. This method is used to finalize the response. The end method takes a single string argument that it will use as the HTTP response body. See, there's the body is different than the header. Another common way of writing this is to add a write method before the end method and then call the end method as follows. Response write, response. Alright, we still haven't got to the forking and the routing. Connect module. Okay, so we've gone from loading HTTP to the connect. That's probably file 4. Use next to chain them. In the next chapter, you'll create your first Express application, but Express is based on Connect's approach. So, in order to understand how Express works, we'll begin by creating a Connect application. In your working folder, create a file named server.js that contains the following code snippet. constant connect equals require connect. So before we get used to calling express, we're going to get used to calling connect. And that's the way most of these tutorials go. They'll teach you the very low level basic stuff and then tell you, now that you understand how that works, you'll never have to use it again. So that's all I'm really doing now. I've got the idea that mean is very powerful and it's going to allow us to make strong apps, but this is the underlying glue that I don't understand. So I'm trying to work my way through it, and it all gets back to these route calls. It's like that's your app, and this is a method, and this is a function. Well, not in this one, but as the string grows out, your URL, like up here, we're going to their website, and then we're looking in the mapped directory, and we're telling it we want to look under books as opposed to maybe videos or t-shirts or whatever else might be in their catalog. And out of the books, we want the web development category. And out of the web development category, it's probably got this book ID, or maybe even this author. 2's another parameter. Okay, now we're looking at chapter 2, level 1, sec 21. Is that where we're at on the scroll bar? No, it's not that specific. Section 21, developing node. So these are all parameters. That's all a call on a program. That's what's loading everything we're looking at here. It's what's pulling it in for us. So anyways, underlying glue, that's what we're trying to dissect. As you can see, your application file is using the connect module to create a new web server. Yeah, you can see that right here. It's totally obvious because it tells you right there. That's your web server. Require connect. It's really down here in this connect files where it's doing all the work. As you can see, your application file is using the connect module to create a new web server. However, connect isn't a core module, so you'll have to install it. Oh. However, connect. Okay, this is where we're going to have to do something. It's almost the end of the episode, isn't it? How are we on time? 23 minutes. We got probably just enough time to do this. As you can see, your application file is using the connect module to create a new web server. However, connect isn't a core module, so you'll have to install it using Node package module. As you already know, there are several ways of installing third-party modules. The easiest one is to install it directly using the npm install command. To do so, use your command line tool and navigate to your working folder, then execute the following command. Okay, which install connect. So I think this is 3.4 is the first one that calls. Alright. I think 3.4 is the first one that calls connect. Yeah, so this one's still calling the HTTP. We've altered that one anyways. Let's get that one out of here. Let's run 4 like it is. So we're just going to go to that. Two, 4. We'll get our path. Copy. We'll come back into this. Oh, we've got to do a Control C to get out of that. So now we'll do a CD, change directory space, paste what we copied. Okay, and now we got to do what the instructions say. Node package manager install connect. We're at 25 minutes, so we'll be right back after these messages.